The blue and red lights shimmered across the water as I tightened the last cleat hitch on my boat. 2 officers made their way down the wooden dock, their boots creating a steady thud on the planks. The taller one, Officer Martinez, cleared his throat and spoke in a measured tone. "Excuse me, sir. We received a report of trespassing and unauthorized docking at this marina." I raised an eyebrow, already knowing who had made the call. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the unmistakable flash of bleached blonde hair and a smug, folded-arm stance Patricia Hendricks, or, as the neighborhood now referred to her, Karen. She watched from the shore, certain that she had finally won our silent war. Let me take you back to how this all began, how a peaceful Saturday turned into a visit from the police. 3 months earlier, I bought a waterfront home in Sunset Shores, a charming neighborhood with picturesque views and craftsman-style homes. But what truly sealed the deal was an unusual perk. Included in the purchase, 51% ownership of the adjacent Sunset Marina. The previous owner, Frank Morrison, had built the marina for decades ago when the area was still undeveloped. He kept controlling interest through smart legal protections. When he passed away, his estate attorney contacted me with the opportunity, and I accepted without hesitation. Patricia Hendricks, the reigning HOA president for 7 years, governed Sunset Shores with an iron will and a never-ending stream of passive-aggressive newsletters. She had declared herself the de facto marina warden, deciding who could access the water and who couldn't. Her micromanagement was notorious, ranging from inspecting grass length with a ruler to finding residents for wind chimes that were too musical. My trouble with her began the week I moved in. Barely unpacked, Patricia showed up at my door holding a welcome basket and a thick binder. With artificial cheer, she said, "Welcome to Sunset Shores. I've highlighted the most important HOA regulations. Pay close attention to sections 4 through 17 regarding watercraft." I nodded politely and set the binder aside, intending to review it later. That was my first mistake. Patricia expected immediate submission. When I didn't attend the urgent HOA meeting she scheduled for new resident integration, she took it personally. Things escalated when I brought my boat to the marina. It was a clean, 24-foot cabin cruiser, nothing flashy, but my pride and joy. As I backed my trailer onto the launch ramp, Patricia appeared like a summoned bureaucrat. "Excuse me," she declared excitedly. "You can't launch here without proper HOA authorization." I calmly explained that I lived at 47 Waterfront Drive, which came with marina rights. Her face flushed a deep red as she snapped, "That doesn't matter. All watercraft must be approved by the HOA board." That's when I dropped the first bombshell. I told her, with a polite smile, "Actually, Patricia, I don't just have marina rights. I own 51% of it. I purchased it with the Morrison property." Her expression was priceless, but I underestimated her persistence. Over the next few weeks, Patricia waged a campaign worthy of a political consultant. She spanned the HOA mailing list daily with dramatic subject lines: "Unauthorized vessel threatens community," and "Property values at risk from negligent boat owner." She staged impromptu gatherings near the marina, ensuring that residents saw me working on my boat while they muttered about declining standards. She filed official complaints with the HOA board, the city, and even the Coast Guard Auxiliary. I responded each time with legal documents and ownership proof, but she didn't back down. Then came the photo campaigns. Patricia began snapping images of my boat from odd angles, claiming aesthetic violations. She measured the dock space, saying I was 3 inches over some fictional boundary. She even hired an independent marine consultant, who turned out to be her nephew with a fishing license. It all came to a head at the monthly HOA meeting. Patricia stood at the podium presenting a dramatic slideshow titled, "The Boat Problem, a Clear and Present Danger." Slide after slide showed unflattering shots of my boat, complete with red arrows pointing at invented infractions. When she finished her 45-minute rant, I stood up. The room fell silent. I connected my phone to the projector and calmly stated, "I'd like to show something." I displayed the original marina deed and legal incorporation documents. With respect, I explained, "The marina is a separate legal entity. The majority owner, me, has full control over operations. The HOA has no authority here." Gasps. filled the room. Some board members shifted uncomfortably, realizing they might have been complicit in Patricia's vendetta. Her face flushed deep red. "This is outrageous," she yelled. "I've managed this marina for 7 years." I shrugged. "And now I do. Legal deed transfer is filed with the county. Would you like to see the tax records?" 2 days later, as I returned from a quiet morning cruise, 2 officers awaited me. At the dock, Patricia had called 911, accusing me of trespassing and illegally docking a vessel. Officer Martinez listened as I presented the deed and documentation on my phone. His partner, Officer Chen, suppressed a grin as I explained. Patricia stood fuming nearby. Martinez turned to her and said, "Ma'am, this gentleman owns the marina. He can't trespass on his own property." Her voice rose. "But the HOA has standards. This violates everything we represent." Officer Chen stepped forward. "Ma'am, this was not an emergency. Filing a false 911 report is a misdemeanor. You've misused city resources for a personal matter." The next few days sparked a transformation. Word spread fast through Sunset Shores about Patricia's failed attempt to weaponize the police. Neighbors began coming forward, sharing their own encounters with her aggressive behavior. Tom Bradley from Unit 12 told me she tried to ban his bright yellow kayak for being visually disruptive. Sarah Chan from Unit 33 said Patricia demanded she write a letter explaining why she deserved a boat slip. That was the final push I needed. I called an emergency meeting for all marina slip renters and interested community members. The meeting hall overflowed. I stood at the front and laid out a new vision. "We're going to modernize," I said. "New cleats, better lighting, and actual safety equipment. Slip assignments will now be based on fairness, not whether you attend Patricia's book club." For the first time, the crowd applauded. I continued, "No more beauty pageants for boats. If your vessel is seaworthy and you're a respectful neighbor, you're welcome here." Patricia sat in the back, her expression locked in fury, when I opened the floor to questions. She stood and shouted, "This is a coup you're destroying. What makes Sunset Shores special?" Before I could respond, an elderly resident named George rose slowly and said with quiet power, "Patricia, the only thing being destroyed is your grip on this community. We're tired of living in fear of your notices and fines." The room erupted. One by one, neighbors shared stories: the ban on garden gnomes in 2019, the mailbox color crackdown in 2020, and the absurd bird feeder ban that drove families away when the noise settled. I took the microphone again. "From today forward, the marina will operate independently from HOA oversight, and we're implementing a zero-tolerance harassment policy. Anyone attempting to intimidate, shame, or falsely report marina users will be banned from the premises." Patricia's lawyer, a timid man named Jeffrey Williams, leaned in and whispered something, but she waved him off. Instead, she erupted, "You can't do this. I'll sue. I'll call the state board, the media." But her tirade was interrupted. HOA Vice President Michael Torres stood up. "I move to hold a vote of no confidence in our president, Patricia Hendricks, based on abuse of authority and actions that have exposed us to legal consequences." The vote was immediate and decisive, 17 in favor, 2 against. With 1 abstention from Patricia's sister, she stood frozen as the results were read. Michael added, "I also move that we formally separate HOA authority from marina operations and recognize Mr. Johnson's legal ownership." The second motion passed unanimously. Patricia clutched her designer purse and stormed out, but not before turning back with venom. "This isn't over. You'll regret this." The next morning, I posted the new marina rules: simple, fair, and focused on safety, not style. I also hung a new sign at the entrance: Sunset Marina, privately owned and operated slip rentals available to respectful community members. 2 weeks later, Patricia submitted a slip rental application. She had bought a small sailboat, clearly trying to weasel back into marina politics. I reviewed her application carefully. Her record spoke for itself: false police reports, documented harassment, and a pending misdemeanor for misuse of emergency services. I stamped the application denied and wrote, "Due to a verified pattern of harassment, misuse of emergency services, and attempts to undermine marina ownership, This application is denied. This decision is final. Later that afternoon, Patricia stormed into the Marina office. Her voice shook the walls. "You can't do this. I built this community. I am Sunset Shores." I looked up from my papers and replied calmly, "You're free to dock at the public marina 6 miles north. I hear they love HOA compliance." Her lawsuits failed. Legal fees piled up, forcing her to sell her house. She moved to a landlocked community in Arizona. Her final HOA meeting was somber. She sat in silence as the new board reversed dozens of her unnecessary rules. The marina, meanwhile, thrived. Families came back. Kids fished from the docks. Sunset views were enjoyed in peace without fear of a violation notice. That 1911 call, meant to drive me out, ended up exposing Patricia's abuse of power to the entire neighborhood. The misdemeanor stuck $3,000 in fines and 40 hours of community service. She was removed from the board, and the local paper ran a story titled, "HOA President's Power Trip Ends in Legal Collapse." Her real estate career took a hit she couldn't recover from. Her final words to her attorney, when she learned the charges were real and the fines non-negotiable, were whispered in disbelief. $3,000 for one phone call? He nodded grimly. "You're lucky it wasn't worse." And me. I spent that evening adding a final touch to my personal boat slip, a quiet sign that read, "Private. Slip, owner operated." The war was over. The water was peaceful again.